Have you ever woken up but couldn't move? Imagine a young boy with tousled blonde hair and piercing blue eyes suddenly snapping awake in the dead of night. The room is shrouded in shadows, only illuminated by the faint eerie glow of a digital clock. It's 3 in the morning, the witching hour, a time when the veil between worlds is said to be thinnest. He attempts to sit up, to call out, maybe even to just turn his head, but his body rebels. He is a prisoner within his own flesh and bones, unable to move a muscle. Panic begins to creep in, filling every corner of his mind with icy dread. His heart pounds loudly, almost echoing in the stillness of his room. As his eyes dart around, desperately seeking something, anything that might explain this terrifying ordeal, they fall on the TV screen across the room. There, in stark, ghostly letters against the black screen, are the words that chill him to his core. R.A.P. Frozen in place, his eyes catch something horrifying on the TV screen. A simple, chilling message. RAP. Imagine the terror of hearing footsteps when you should be alone. As the silence of the night blankets the room, the distinct sound of slow, dragging footsteps grows louder, approaching from the darkened hallway. Each step seems to echo in the suffocating stillness of the room, punctuated by the boy's rapidly beating heart. Frozen in his bed, unable to move or cry out, the boy's breath comes in quick, shallow gasps. The anticipation builds, a tangible dread filling the air, thick as fog. Then, with agonizing slowness, the bedroom door begins to creak open, inch by painstaking inch. The shadows seem to stretch and twist, as if alive, reaching into the room with cold, dark fingers. A faint light from the hallway casts a grotesque silhouette across the floor, creeping closer to the bed. The door, now fully ajar, reveals nothing but a gaping maw of darkness at first. Then, from within that abyss, a figure emerges. A tall, eyeless entity, its face hollowed out where eyes should have been, exuding an aura of unspeakable horror. What he sees next chills him to the bone. A tall, eyeless figure stands in the doorway. In the still silence, a voice cuts through the darkness. The door closes with a resonant thud, sealing the boy in his room. The room itself seems to pulse with a palpable tension. A whisper, as light as a feather yet cold as ice, threads through the air. "You don't have much time left," it says, almost melodiously, chilling the very marrow in his bones. As the words echo in his ears, a shiver runs up the boy's spine. He tries to move, to scream, but his body betrays him, frozen in an invisible grip. The darkness around him seems to curl and twist, as if alive with sinister intent. His breaths become shallow, rapid. The air feels thick, almost suffocating. In the oppressive gloom, the boy senses rather than sees movements. A flicker of shadows, as if the darkness itself is rearranging. Time seems suspended, each second stretching into eternity, filled only with the echo of that haunting whisper. As the voice fades, the boy's dread deepens. What happens when your worst nightmares come to life? Imagine the chill of fear as the room grows colder, the shadows deeper. There, from the murky darkness of the hallway, the eyeless figure emerges again. This time, its presence is overwhelmingly sinister. Its black holes where eyes should be seem to stare right into your soul. Slowly, it advances, each step a silent threat echoing through the still air. As it reaches the bedside, its icy hands extend with a deliberate, horrifying intent. The boy, paralyzed by an unspoken terror, feels the cold grip tighten around him. In an instant, he is swept away, the familiar walls of his room replaced by the oppressive darkness of a dense, foreboding forest. He finds himself being lowered into an ancient, abandoned coffin, the wood rotting and the air thick with the scent of decay. As the lid begins to close, sealing him in this new prison, the boy's heart races. His breaths are shallow, his mind racing. As the lid closes, the boy's fear escalates, trapped again, this time within the confines of a cold, dark coffin. But the terror was far from over. As the boy lay trapped in the eerie silence of the old abandoned coffin, a sudden noise shattered the stillness. The lid was violently flung open, revealing the night sky, distorted by the twisted branches that loomed overhead. Hovering above him was a creature so grotesque it seemed to defy the very laws of nature. Its limbs were bent at impossible angles, and its eyes, glowing a fierce red, pierced through the darkness, locking onto the boy with an unsettling intensity. The creature's form was almost spider-like, yet undeniably humanoid, a chilling amalgamation of features that should not coexist. Without warning, the creature's gnarled hands reached down, seizing the boy with a grip that was both icy and unyielding. It hurled him upwards with a force that tore through the silence of the woods. The boy, propelled through the cold night air, was on a collision course with a monstrous apparition, a flying shark, its maw agape, ready to devour. But just as all hope seemed lost, a burst of flashing lights cut through the darkness, followed by the urgent wail of a police siren. The surreal nightmare was interrupted by a beacon of the real world. The shark vanished into the shadows as quickly as it had appeared. On the ground now, the boy saw the flashing lights approach, a figure stepping out from the glow. A familiar voice, warm yet commanding, broke through the chaos. "Come here, little boy, let's go home." Was it all just a dream? The question lingers in the air as the first rays of morning light pierce through the window, casting a warm glow over the room. The boy stirs in his bed, a stark contrast to the immobility of the night. He flexes his fingers, feels the soft sheets beneath him, and slowly sits up. No longer held captive by an unseen force, his movements are his own again. Outside, the world is waking up. Birds chirp cheerfully, a gentle reminder of life's persistence. Inside, the familiar sound of his mother's voice cuts through the remnants of terror. "Breakfast is ready!" Her call is comforting, a soothing balm to the eerie silence that had filled his room just hours before. He swings his legs over the side of the bed, his feet touching the cool floor. As he stands, the shadows of the night seem to withdraw, like specters chased away by the dawn. Relieved, he realizes he's safe, his fear of the night's events slowly fading. So, what exactly happened to our young friend? What he experienced is known as sleep paralysis, a phenomenon where, upon waking or falling asleep, one finds themselves unable to move or speak. It's a curious junction where the body remains locked in its dream state, yet the mind is wide awake and aware. This condition can be unnerving, especially because it often comes with vivid hallucinations. These can range from shadowy figures looming in the room to bizarre and frightening sounds. Why does this happen? During sleep paralysis, the brain is teetering between stages of sleep and wakefulness, causing these realistic yet entirely imagined sensory experiences. It's important to understand that sleep paralysis is quite common and not a marker of deeper psychological issues. For those who encounter it, reducing stress and improving sleep hygiene can be beneficial. Establishing a regular sleep schedule, avoiding caffeine before bed, and creating a comfortable sleep environment are practical steps to take. Remember, knowledge and understanding are your best tools against the fears of the night.